The Battle of the Hydaspes, Clash of Titans. The year was 326 BCE, and Alexander the Great, the young king of Macedon, stood on the banks of the Hydaspes River, modern-day Jhelum, Pakistan. His gaze fixed on the far side of the river, where King Porus, the ruler of the Porava kingdom, prepared for a confrontation. Porus was no ordinary adversary. He was known for his valor and a formidable army, including the mightiest war elephants the Macedonian army had ever encountered. Alexander, undefeated in his conquests from Greece to Persia, was aware of the significance of this battle. Winning against Porus would cement his reputation as a conqueror who could defy any odds. Losing would tarnish his legacy and perhaps end his dream of world domination. On the other side of the river, Porus, a towering figure over 7 feet tall, clad in armor that gleamed under the sun, stood alongside his war elephants. These beasts, painted in vibrant war colors, were an intimidating sight. His infantry and cavalry, hardened warriors loyal to their king, were equally prepared for the fight. Porus knew Alexander's reputation but was confident. "We fight not just for our land, but for our honor," he told his troops. "Let them learn that the warriors of Bharat are unyielding." Alexander faced a strategic dilemma. The river was swollen due to monsoon rains, making a direct crossing perilous. A frontal assault would allow Porus to unleash his elephants and archers, causing devastating losses. Alexander needed a plan that would surprise Porus and nullify his advantage. Alexander's tactical genius came to the fore. He feigned preparations for a direct assault at the main crossing, keeping Porus's attention fixed. Meanwhile, he identified a fordable section of the river upstream, hidden by dense vegetation. On a stormy night, under the cover of darkness, Alexander and a select force of his best troops began their crossing. The river was treacherous, and many men and horses struggled against the current, but Alexander's leadership and unyielding determination inspired his men. By dawn, they had successfully crossed and began to position themselves behind Porus's army. Porus was caught off guard. A scout reported the flanking maneuver, and Porus quickly adjusted his formation. He sent part of his cavalry to intercept Alexander, while keeping the bulk of his forces, including his elephants, ready to repel a frontal attack. The battlefield was chaos. Alexander, leading from the front as always, charged into the Porava cavalry. The Macedonian companion cavalry, highly disciplined and equipped with long spears, outmaneuvered the Indian horsemen. The initial skirmish saw Alexander gain the upper hand, but Porus, a brilliant tactician in his own right, was not deterred. He unleashed his elephants. Towering over the battlefield, the beasts charged into the Macedonian phalanx, their tusks adorned with sharp blades. The Macedonian soldiers, trained to face fearsome adversaries, held their ground, using their long sarissas, spears, to jab at the elephants and their handlers. The elephants caused heavy casualties, trampling soldiers and breaking formations. But Alexander's troops adapted quickly. They targeted the elephants' legs and isolated them from their handlers, gradually neutralizing the beasts. Porus, seated atop his war elephant, was a sight to behold. He personally led charges, rallying his troops with cries of encouragement. His archers, positioned strategically, rained arrows upon the Macedonians, causing significant damage. Alexander, realizing the danger, ordered his archers and light infantry to focus on the archers. A brutal exchange of volleys ensued, and slowly, Porus's forces began to falter. Despite the mounting losses, Porus refused to retreat. His bravery inspired his troops, who fought with renewed vigor. Alexander admired this resilience but knew that Porus's stubbornness could be his undoing. Alexander launched a coordinated assault. His cavalry encircled Porus's forces, cutting off their retreat. The phalanx advanced methodically, pushing back the weary Indian soldiers. Porus's elephants, once a symbol of invincibility, now caused chaos among his own troops as they panicked and ran amok. Seeing the tide turn, Porus charged into the thick of the fight, determined to either win or die with honor. Alexander, impressed by the king's valor, ordered his men to capture Porus alive. After hours of intense combat, Porus's forces were overwhelmed. Exhausted and injured, Porus finally surrendered. As he was brought before Alexander, the Macedonian king, though triumphant, was struck by Porus's dignified presence. Legend has it that Alexander asked Porus, "How should I treat you?" Porus, despite his wounds, stood tall and replied, "Like a king." Alexander, impressed by his bravery and pride, not only spared Porus's life, but reinstated him as the ruler of his kingdom. He even granted Porus additional territory, recognizing him as a valuable ally. The Battle of the Hydaspes was over, and Alexander emerged victorious, but it was a costly win. The bravery of Porus and his men had left an indelible mark on the Macedonian troops. The Battle of the Hydaspes is remembered as one of Alexander's most challenging encounters. It marked the easternmost point of his conquests, as his weary troops refused to march further into the Indian subcontinent. For Porus, the battle symbolized the spirit of resistance and honor. His courage in the face of overwhelming odds earned him respect not only from Alexander, but also from generations to come.